Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And now, Barbados. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk Today.
What is on your mind, Cayman? If you are ready to talk, we are ready to listen. Here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, welcome and thank you very much for joining us on another fantastic Friday's edition of Talk Today. And as we start things out, we want to invite you to an urgent prayer gathering on Sunday. We'll tell you more about it. 1 o'clock, our local scholarships are open. Dr. Shari from the Scholarship Secretariat will be here. We get a chance to focus on health at 1:30 with Baptist Health, and then continuing the health theme. Our good folks over at Radio Central has a health screening coming up tomorrow, so that'll be the discussion at 2 p.m. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk Today is reminding you.
Avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
Email Talk Today at candw.ky. Let your voice be heard.
And now, back to Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, Radio Cayman Talk Today.
Hey, welcome. Thanks for joining us. And, they say that a family that prays together stays together. Well, perhaps prayer unifies a nation. Pastor Alson, good afternoon, sir. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
It's our privilege, myself and Reverend Ivor Harry, to be here this afternoon. I think, well, of course, the reason we're here. And let's just let me up front let people know what it's about. The pastors of the Cayman Islands are calling for an island-wide, we can call it nationwide if you please, because it affects all of our islands, and for prayer for peace, for safety, for security, and for the salvation of the Cayman Islands. And of course, this is directly related to last Sunday's something that we never expected to see here in the Cayman Islands. So there's an urgent prayer gathering this Sunday, the 3rd of March, from 5 to 6 p.m. at the John A. Cumber School Field, what I still call the Town Hall Field, because that's part of my neck of the woods, as they say.
As I listen to you, even just that, how we've referenced the space itself is indicative of the place and time in which we find ourselves. And yes, it's happening at the Westfield Primary School, playing field, Town Hall Field. But as you shared, Pastor Alson, this is a nationwide call. Faith without works is day, and if a country doesn't pray and prayerfully and purposefully, position themselves to act, where are we? I'll say that to share something in a second, but to you, Pastor Harry, welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you. Good to be here. This is but of course the occasion itself is thank you. The occasion itself is not something we planned 2 weeks in advance,
right?
Because the incident happened just recently. But I'm very happy that the church is. It might seem like the church is reactive, but the church has always been praying for the nation. And the church recognizes that this particular incident has the potential to increase this feeling of this lack of sensitivity towards human life, which seems to be all over the world. We see what is happening in other parts of the world. I don't need to call names, but this desensitivity that is taking place. We think that incidents like this have the potential to introduce this kind of desensitivity to this nation. And Cayman has always been very sensitive about human life.
Yes. And sometimes I wonder whether or not a certain generation that's raised on movies and films and the imaginary world, whether they actually recognize that the other being there is not someone that you can kill them and tomorrow they'll be back on the next show.
That's true.
You know, this idea. You hear of violence in which people killed some of their school mates. They were mates growing up together, and do they believe that somehow or another everything is resolved, and the next week they're going to get back together, and it's that kind of a juvenile, infantile thinking that may be there, but of course there's something more insidious than that going on.
And I think that's where we probably have failed. And if I'm wrong in my impression or a sort of interpretation and analysis, tell me. But as a family, as parents, as a community, as a country, right, schools and everything, we fail to say to these people, what you see on TV, that game you're playing, there isn't, you can't press reset. There isn't a do-over. And as I was looking at today's discussion, I thank Pastor Bob for coming in early yesterday. I apologized to him in person, I apologized in public. I was frantically trying to get something done, and I told a good team, I'll be there in a second. Usually I jump and run down, but sometimes you can't leave what you're doing because, well, your hands are stirring the pot, and if you take it off the stove, it's not gonna come back to it, right? So when I came down, he said, we'll find it. We had guests scheduled for today. Again, as you said, Pastor, you can't plan this even the day before. Right. It has to come after, right? But I should say that how amenable, without any prompting, without any hesitation, we'll yield our spot. We're going to manage that. And I share that to ask where we, as a community, and looking at where we're going, this is a global phenomenon, not a good one. We're seeing, as you said, Pastor, a sort of a desensitized approach to life, but also to liberty, right? Pastor Alson.
Well, I think there's no simplistic answer because it's a very complex situation. Cayman is going through a stage of growth where you have a certain generation that are now, let's say that generation may be a generation that's parents or they're parents, and some of us are grandparents. That would mean that my father's generation, your father's generation, Sterling, was a generation that said, we don't want our kids to go through the hardships that we went through when life was hard, when mosquitoes were killing us, when you could hardly make a living, everybody had to leave the island. My father, I remember his words to me as we went sailing in his catboat and he was trying to catch some fish, and he said, son, when you grow up, get an education. The sea life is hard. What has happened then is that chasing this dream of progress and prosperity, the generation that was told by their fathers and mothers, we're going to make it easy for you. That generation now has children and grandchildren, and they're chasing an elusive, imaginary dream that has taken them in the wrong direction in so many ways, because what has happened is that some of the things that anchored our previous generation, or maybe even glued it together, even though Daddy was away, Mama was home, in the home. Most mothers stayed in the home, worked, and so on and so forth. And then every weekend, whether it was the Seventh-day Adventist church or whether it was the Pilgrim Holiness Church or whatever it was in the community,
Yes.
kids were being exposed to the gospel of Jesus Christ.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what's happening in the SDA. I just know what's happening in a lot of evangelical churches, and people blaming it on COVID. No, it's before COVID. Parents who themselves were schooled in the Word of God through Sunday school and Sabbath school, and through the public school system, because thank God that's still available here.
Yeah.
They that are no longer finding it important to take or send their children to church. So we are cultivating a generation of practical or functional atheists. And when you're functioning as an atheist, then of course your high value has to be whatever you believe and whatever you think is important. So your prestige in the community, whether it's in a gang or whatever, all those sort of things come into the picture. I mean, I've gone into the prison. I've visited there for many times, and some of the guys in there who are in there serving life sentences, they are I would say the sweetest guys. You get to know them. What happened? Somewhere along the line, they bought some lie. And we know, for example, that in terms of the physiological development, that the human brain continues to develop into the early 20s, or maybe even the mid-20s.
Mid-20s.
Even to the mid-20s.
Yeah.
And one of the last things to develop as an actual function of the brain is called consequential thinking. So children don't have it. Children take risk, and then young people don't have it. And then you have all the other things that are going on that are as we say, juking them here and juking them there to go in this direction, go in that direction.
Yeah.
And I guess you talk to them when they look back. When they look back, well, I don't know why I did that.
Yeah.
So where we are now is that those who are still that generation that still believes in God, is saying, look, when a nation departs from their worship of God, you will see things like we've just seen, we never imagined hearing on a Sunday night, that 7 people will be injured at a football match in Grand Cayman. We knew there was some stuff going on, but never would we have imagined that.
Let's pick that up after the break, because there is so much to unpack, and there's so much of a sense of urgency, but a willingness to ignore. Which each passing day, I see the wisdom of my father, and like men of his day who did not, even if they probably wanted to, probably could not get the education, the academic instruction that we get today. Yet his counsel and wisdom surpasses many. And he said, for instance, yes, the drinking age legally is 18. My advice to you, wait till you're 25. He didn't tell me about the biology and all the brain and amygdala and all these things. But as I got older, he understood what it was. Experience, they say, is a great teacher.
Yes.
Now you imagine a man that's almost 100 years old giving you advice, 50 years ago. Only I wish I knew now, then what I know now. But I want to ask some very pointed questions, and I'm not going to be, disrespectful, because it's not my nature. But it's time that we hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
All right, we're talking about Sunday evening. We're looking at what we're doing. Let's make it happen. To our listeners, please stay tuned.
As a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I go in flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's Home Loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymanational.com today.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Live in Grand Cayman, One Love Concert Series presents One Love Legends of Reggae with the living legend himself, Ernie Smith. Saturday, March 2nd at Coral Beach, featuring artist Mr. Notch with Local Motion and Juggling by Sound Revolution. Purchase your tickets at eventpro.ky. Gates open at 6 p.m. Thanks to our sponsors, Cayman Airways, Caymanian Time, Bacardi, DOT, Ministry of Culture, Coca-Cola, Hello Cayman, and Youngblood Productions. Legends of Reggae, live in Grand Cayman, Saturday, March 2nd at Coral Beach, 6 p.m. Don't miss out on a living legend live here in Cayman.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Social media, X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Interact with our talk shows on YouTube.
Download
our official Radio Cayman app, or you can log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky. You can also add us to WhatsApp
on 925-3261.
All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks very much for joining us. And one of the, to me, the greatest privileges and honor in sitting and facilitating this discussion is that I get to learn. Each day is like a life lesson. I keep saying sometimes, we should run the camera and the audio during the breaks because I got so many good tidbits. I won't talk of the school, but thank you for sharing what you just did. Mm-hmm. I only reference that not to speak of the school, but to highlight the importance of us being our brother's keeper. Mm-hmm. And I believe, and I hope it's a practice, and if it isn't, I want it to, become one, and if it is, I want it to continue and increase. I believe our women get together and they fellowship, they talk, they share things about each other, about raising children, about being a woman, in a way that as much as we want to be loving husbands and brothers and fathers and, what have you.
We tend to be loners.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of manhood, apparently.
Yeah. So with that and then sort of a macro perspective, it is now important that we acknowledge our responsibilities as people. We accept that we should be held accountable and are so held accountable. But just like faith without works is dead, if we're not purposeful in our prayer and if we're not acting, then how do we expect? And I say that, Pastor Hassan, and to you and Pastor Harry, to guide me and our community. An event has occurred in our country that the Police Commissioner repeatedly calls unprecedented. But it is one that should not have come as a surprise. And despite the media's terming of it as a mass shooting and whatever connotations that may have, whatever fear that I may instill in people, the fact is, it's not too late.
Yeah.
At least I don't think so. I hope not. Pray not.
Well, Sterling, one of the reasons why, in discussing it with Pastor Torrance Bob, who is the chairman of the Cayman Ministers Association, but this is not just a Cayman Ministers Association event. This prayer is called by the ministers of the Cayman Islands, the pastors and the leaders of the church, across Cayman. One of the reasons we did not even request to have this prayer at the Ed Bush playing field is because we understand that there is significant trauma associated with this, and people might like to come out to pray, but just going on that site itself would traumatize people who were not even there last Sunday night.
Yeah.
So that's why we opted, let's do the as I say, the town hall field.
Right.
For those who in West Bay and they know what I'm talking about, the rest of the world have to call it the John A. Cumber primary school field.
Right, but
does that make any sense to you and the listeners that people they want to pray and they want the comfort of getting together with other people who share their concern and share their grief? Because even if somebody that was hurt by that shooting is not a direct relative of mine or yours, we've got to be hurt by it.
Right. But Pastor, two things from what you just shared. There's a gentleman that called the studio. He calls all the time talking about different things, and sometimes he has his chosen topic or topics. And he called and he said his words, as he talked about it, yes, traumatized would be the way, right? But he wasn't there. No one connected to him was there. He doesn't play football. And this is something that has happened. He felt shook up, right? A term that we all should relate to, but traumatized. So if in seeing what transpired, sharing and not being in a way to respond appropriately, this can be significantly impactful. So, Pastor Harry, before I ask the other second, you share if you wish, sir.
Yes. I remember in 2012 when we had a spate of shootings. We lost about four young men in a relatively short period of time. We had a similar thing. We had, back then I remember our church, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and we started with Georgetown because I think, and we had district initiatives where we went from district to district, and we had something called Not For Sale. Not For Sale, and utilizing a popular song. The Not For Sale initiative was to encourage our young men not to sell themselves to the forces that were beckoning to them to get involved in drugs and guns and violence and such. And we did that over a period of about a month. And immediately after that, calm was restored to the island. The churches were praying. Sometimes we think that the church is not an important part of the society. Prayer is old-fashioned. People talk now of post-God. It's a ridiculous statement, right? I mean, post-God, right? The world is doing just fine without God. Yeah. But as Reverend Alston said, it is when we confront our own image in the mirror, when we look and see who we've become, because we cannot divorce ourselves from our children.
Right.
I mean, what our young boys are doing now is in some way attributable to us.
Right.
And when we see this image that we don't recognize, then we go back. You mentioned your father. Your father might not have been a university graduate, but your father had God as a part of his education. His mother and his father would have instilled in him the principles and the morals and the values that we all grew up with in our time. And those values were mingled with the academic exposure we had. And we grew up with a sort of sensitivity to life that helped us make on-the-spot decisions sometimes.
Godly wisdom.
Yes. Yeah. And that has been cast aside. And it needs to be reinstated. And I'm glad that the church must keep pounding at that door.
Right.
We should not allow the nation to think that we have moved on.
Right. Gents, we do have a caller, and this is why I'm so glad we had the opportunity. I wish we had longer. But let's take this call if we can. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Well, good afternoon.
And to you, sir.
Good afternoon.
Important topic you got on there. And, going through my mind here, just what's going on now should be going on a daily basis in a community setting. Now, just think. I think we got maybe at least 19, could be more than that, radio stations in Cayman. How many of them you think, and I suppose they've got listeners, how many of them you think raises the name of the Lord in their programming? Maybe 2? 3? What else is there that's being pounded out? So I think, and it was mentioned that maybe we can take some corrective action.
Yes.
We got a lull here, a little laugh off that we could take some corrective action. But is there, or are there? Pastor Olson, is that line? Good
yeah.
English learner?
Depending which way you're going with it, but it could be, is there or are there, Lockie? Glad to hear your voice.
Anyway, is there the gumption, or I could put another adjective to it, but I wouldn't, within the whole Cayman atmosphere, to take that kind of action? And from my perspective, I think these things are just going to more or less mushroom if some action isn't taken. And we've had these various junctures in, let's say in our development over the last, well, let's say 60, 70 years, which I don't think much corrective action was taken. There might have been some, and there have been some efforts in doing that. But if we don't do something at this point, from my perspective, I don't profess to know what we should do. But I think as a community collaboration, we could come up with some pertinent and some things that would sort of bring us back to where we're not run down on an eagle spread and just letting her ride.
That your sailing imagery there, some of us understand it. Some people are wondering where you're going. Are you going to time to tack now? And
yeah, I was just wondering.
Well, yeah.
But Mr. Banks, you're hitting on something there. There is a sort of a little story I use every now and then of in way back in the days of I guess these guys who were they lived in monasteries, and there was this I guess you priest, or let's call him that. He was off walking and going with his servant with him. And so they came to a place. He'd been teaching this guy about the importance of praying, how valuable prayer is. So when they came to settle down for the night, his servant said, well, Father, what shall we do? Shall we pray or tie up the donkey? And the priest said, son, pray and tie up the donkey.
There you go.
And I think that's what you're talking about. We pray, but there are practical things
Very good.
that needs to be happening as well. Prayer is practical in a way that people don't understand it. But in terms of what do you do in terms of tying up the donkey, how do you deal with some of the issues that have unfortunately just mushroomed here in Cayman? So, yeah, Loxley, we need to pray and tie up the donkey.
Well, I think within the Cayman Islands community, the Conrad and Turtlemate Cayman Islands community, we can do it. We just gotta,
Yeah, where is the will?
take the wheelbarrow and take it up the hill.
Yeah, thanks for calling too. Appreciate that.
All right. Thanks, sir. And I think this is where that discussion in the past, was almost esoteric. But now I think it needs to be communal. And to the gentleman on the call, we all recognize his voice, but maybe I should be mindful of my instructions. Don't identify him until he does.
Yeah, I know.
But he talked about the turtle meat and cornbread community. Is it, Pastor Harry, that not many of us understand that ethos? The thing that attracted all of us here and caused us to remain is the thing in which we are fighting against, because it's not what was the same from whence we come. And yet, you can't have your cake and eat it.
No.
Right? But, Pastor Alson?
Yeah. We're importing values. We're importing values. The late Francis Schaeffer, and I think it was in his last book, anyway, he describes what I think those of us who understand what's going on, the period in which we are living now, as the post-Christian era. It means that people are not, the majority, the consensus, the moral consensus is maybe, in a sense, what you have is a foundation laid by Christianity, and people are trying to keep some of those values there, but still move away from Christianity because they they find it repugnant when it comes to their own lifestyle, their own other sets of values. So in what you're talking about, Sterling, is people who've come here from, we got how many nationalities we have living in Cayman?
Do we even know?
I don't know. But let's say it's 140 now after COVID, because we have a lot more folks here.
35,000 here.
Yeah. So we got a lot of folks here. Certainly outnumbered. West Bears and maybe even Caymans are never outnumbered. But here's the reality. The reality is that, as you said, people find living in Cayman attractive. We don't have inter-ethnic violence. What's going on is a different type of violence. People are from all over the world are living and working together, and I think they where they come from, life may not be like that. How do we maintain that? Well, I think the reality is that if we don't understand the value of a relationship with God, there is no way we can maintain it. In other words, it's not a product of education. It's not a product of some sort of enculturation that comes through education in the school or whatever it is. It is the peace that passes all understanding, the peace, the communal peace, the way in which I grew up in Cayman, where we could leave our doors unlocked and go to church or go shopping or whatever. Those days are behind us. I grew up with every summer, as soon as school was out, my mother let me just go swimming, go in the bush, go all over the place, because there was really no concern about somebody taking advantage of us as kids or anything like that. We just, now parents don't want their kids outside of the house. They're stuck on their telephones and their iPads and all that sort of stuff. And in the process, they're getting values from other people who are selling these values, giving these values, and those values are being bought hook, line, and sinker, and shaping the value system of a generation that wants the good life of Cayman, but are in some ways are destroying it at the same time.
Right. As we go to the call, to your point, Pastor Alson, if we want to preserve the good life, it is for all of us to recognize what that is and the desire to step up and champion it. Can we take this next call? You're welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sterling. Good afternoon, Pastor and other pastor.
Pastor Alson and Pastor Harry. Yes, sir.
Sorry about that.
No. I didn't say it as I went to the phone, so you've probably only tuned in. That's on me. But welcome, sir. Welcome.
I am looking at this situation also in a way that I believe that there is some kind of curses on, I don't want to say it, but apparently there was a time when we used to talk about the friendly people. The tourists used to talk about the friendly people in Cayman. And they used to talk about, now it's gone to Cayman kind and something is wrong. You know, I communicate with people very often, but something is wrong here. I am looking. I can't. I have a different Bible now. Someone took my Bible, you know, and said that they threw it away and all that kind of. A lot of things took place against me.
Right. I don't want to dismiss you nor disrespect you, but I do recognize that our pastors have to leave shortly.
I don't want to say too long.
No, that's fine, sir.
But there's something I read in the Bible about cursed shall thou be in the city, cursed shall thou be, so and so and so. I'm wondering if, because I know that the pastors are very wise, it's wisdom now that is dealing with this thing. If the pastors can explain to us if it could be some signs of curses on us. We used to say that we're blessed. Now is not. Many people saying that now. I remember the word's changing, you know. The word's changing.
Yes, sir.
Something seemed to be wrong. I don't want to...
Fair enough.
If
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
If I can speak to that, I don't for one moment believe that anyone is cursed in this context. What I do believe is that we are embracing different values. We are comfortable with value systems that are not native to Cayman. Cayman has been and still remains a relatively Christian country. And, you know, I have watched over the years since I have been here, I have watched other forces fighting against that. I mean, we don't have to detail the different fights we've had in standing up for different values that our parents taught us, and the Word of God upholds. But Cayman is not isolated anymore. Caymanians are not isolated. Caymanians travel the world. Our children go to school abroad. And if you notice, when they come back home, even the Christian ones, a lot of them come back with a brand new set of values, the ones they adopt.
Right. I recognize the time, and I certainly want to invite after this, because this is a dialogue that needs to continue. But and this is only me, you know, they say a mind is a terrible thing to waste, right? I never thought Cayman was ever isolated, and I never thought Caymanians were. Right. Think of two things. Just go back to our parents, grandparents who traveled and plied the high seas. But also think prior to that, when with the catboat, we were not only trading and had a commerce with, say, the New England coast, but also with the Nordic countries 120 years ago. That's not an isolated people, right? And look at, I mean...
But there were some treasured things we had here.
Yes.
And some of those things were, people might call them accidents, for example. For example, that Cayman, because of the nature of this piece of rock itself, not having the kind of soil to produce the kind of crops that people wanted, we just could not sustain a kind of a slave society that the countries that had the land and had the soil. And so that made a difference. That made a difference. And then you had the realities of Cayman as a small place, and there's how do you survive here? But one significant thing, Caymanians traditionally, the number of families in which there was a father and a mother married was extremely high in comparison to other countries. Let's say like comparison to Jamaica. In fact, there's no comparison. Now that value system is being torn apart and deteriorating as well. And they're picking up the shacking up thing. Sterling, I'm see you looking to do what you're supposed to do. The time is running out. Somebody's probably calling. But I just want to remind that the reason that we're here is that we're asking people, regardless of which church they're from, if they value these islands and the people and the children of next generation, this Sunday, March the 3rd, 5 to 6 p.m., we're gathering for prayer. It's not going to be preaching, it's prayer. It's not singing, it's prayer. At the John A. Combo Playfield in West Bay. And we just want to be praying for our community, praying for our leaders, praying for those who have been affected directly and indirectly by this thing that happened last Sunday evening. And yes, this dialogue could continue for a long time. We could.
Yes.
Well, I will.
But yeah.
We will invite you, both you and others, right?
Certainly.
Pastor
Harry? But tomorrow is a day of prayer in the Adventist churches, and that was by our own planning and design. So we can. I want to encourage Seventh-day Adventists across the island tomorrow to begin praying. What has happened in West Bay is not an isolated incident. As much as we want to, sensationalize it, we've seen this. This has been little steps have been made towards this.
Yes.
So we will redouble our prayers. We're gonna be like the importunate widow, and bother God.
Right.
But we want to move the hand of God on this. And then we're inviting our members to join our brothers and sisters from all the churches across the island, and come out on Sunday, 5 to 6 at the John A. Combo Playfield, the town hall Playfield.
Yeah.
I'm not a West Bayer.
Yeah.
And so we can pray together. This one thing we do agree on, right?
Yes.
That the power of God is available to those who pray. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we will pray together.
Well,
tomorrow.
thank you both. And before you leave, I'll extend an invitation, but perhaps to the community, not only on Sunday at the West Bay Primary School playing field, but perhaps on Sunday at all playing fields across the entire country. We can be assembled.
Okay.
So I'll leave it to your respective congregations to decide to lead it.
Yeah, I think I'm glad you said that, Sterling, because this isn't just something that has affected West Bay. I believe that if other pastors and other community leaders would say, let's gather at a playing field in East End and North Side, whatever it is.
Yes, sir.
And just even if they only for a portion of time before they start some football match or whatever, we need to pray.
Yes. And we know
need to pray.
the football matches have been suspended in
Yeah.
the interim, so the field should be available. Perhaps through you, your respective congregations, start tomorrow and continue to Monday. But thank you all, and thanks for,
Thanks for having us.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for giving us the time.
Of course, sir.
Appreciate that.
Of course. Let's pause, and when we come back, we'll ask you to rejoin us. Stay tuned.
Find your dream car with a Cayman National Vehicle Loan. Enjoy 100% financing, up to 8-year repayment, and a 7% fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. For eco-friendly cars, we'll waive your commitment fee. This only applies to new vehicles. Call 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
CUC Advisory. Customers are advised of a scheduled outage on Sunday, March 3rd between 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. for Watlers Road and portions of Helling Drive in Georgetown. For more information, please contact CUC's customer service team at 949-5200 or email service@cuc.ky.
Take Take some advice from your Aunt Angie. If you're going to invest in an exotic pet, choose anything but a Norwegian forest cat. Apparently, they will eat all your jewelry. Before you know it, you're racing to the vet when your cat escapes from his carrier and lunges for your earrings. You crash and your cat swallows your pearls. But if you're smart, you'll have CG Motor Insurance and get the best comprehensive coverage for the price.
Get the best comprehensive coverage for the price. CG Britke. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
This is Sherry Ebanks, and I work in the financial services sector. I am concerned about how climate change is affecting our beautiful beaches. Sea level rise and changing wind patterns are worsening the erosion of our beaches, and warmer temperatures are causing more sargassum to reach our shores. When our beaches are degraded, our tourism sector and the livelihoods of Caymanians are put in jeopardy. To learn more about the climate risks to our islands, visit www.gov.ky/climate change policy.
Radio station. Radio Cayman is the voice of the Cayman Islands. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. Missing teen, 14-year-old Chantal Aguilar, who was reported missing on Tuesday, February 20th, has been located and returned safely. She appears to be in good health. In international news, a Ukrainian man selling a poison thought to be linked to at least 130 UK deaths has been identified by the BBC. The man advertised his services on a website promoting suicide, and he told an undercover reporter he sent 5 parcels a week to the UK. He has been supplying the same substance as Canadian Kenneth Law, who was arrested last year and is now facing 14 murder charges. He was tracked down to his home in Kiev and denied that he sold the deadly chemical, which the BBC is choosing not to name. Actor Alec Baldwin waved a gun around on the film set where a cinematographer was fatally shot, a court has heard. In footage shown at the trial of the film's armorer Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, Mr. Baldwin is also seen telling her to reload the gun more quickly. She denies involuntary manslaughter and tampering with evidence. Mr. Baldwin was holding the gun when it went off, but has said he didn't pull the trigger. He has pleaded not guilty to involuntary manslaughter. The actor, who was also a producer on the film Rust, is expected to face a separate trial in July. Cinematographer Helena Hutchins died in the incident on the set near Santa Fe in New Mexico in October 2021. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
When you have a sports or fitness-related injury, trust the expertise of the HSA's Sports and Exercise Medicine Clinic to get you back in the game. Our internationally trained and certified physicians specialize in sports traumatology, sports medicine, pain management, and orthopedic surgery. For treatment of common injuries such as tendonitis, arthritis, tennis elbow, rotator cuff, or knee tears, schedule a consultation with the Sports and Exercise Medicine Clinic at Smith Road Medical Center by calling 949-8600 or visit hsa.ky for more information.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Born September 25th, 1947, at Watering Place, Cayman Brac, Royce Adolphus Dilbert was the firstborn son to Helen and Grace Dilbert, née Tibbets. Mr. Dilbert was a hard-working man who spent numerous years at sea, as well as employing his diverse skill sets on land. In 1979, he would marry Yvette Jackson and took employment with Cayman Brac Power and Light Company in 1981 as chief engineer, where he remained until his retirement in December of 2018. Heavily influenced by his wife, in 1982 he gave his heart to the Lord and joined her at Ebenezer Baptist Church, where he later served as interim pastor in 2002 to 2007, becoming pastor in 2017. Mr. Dilbert was a charter member of the Rotary Club of Cayman Brac, served as PTA president at Creek Primary School, worked with the youth in the community, president of the Veterans and Seamen Society, and was a member of the Development and Control Board Brack until his passing. Royce was a devoted father to 7 children, loved to fish, and had a passion for cars.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands.
Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us and allowing us to share with you many things that are happening. And it's not just that the show must go on or life goes on. This is about reminding us that, good must trump evil, and a society must continue to advance, to progress, to be inclusive. And I'm honored through the Ministry of Education, the manager of the Scholarship Secretariat, Dr. Shari Smith. Now, is it Scholarships Secretariat or Scholarship Secretariat?
Yeah, Dwayne.
No, okay, I should not.
Scholarships.
Scholarship. No. I'm getting there. Okay, but anyway, we know.
No, you got me questioning.
Yeah, you and your fantastic team.
Yes.
Do an amazing job, and thank you for coming on. And we're talking about local scholarships.
Yes.
Perhaps I'll leave it, and I want to be guided by you, and I do respect that you have to get back to work. So we only have a discussion for the next 20 minutes or so.
Sure.
But what does local scholarships mean? Tell us what we're here, what we're going to be doing.
All right.
Dr. Shari.
So today's March.
It's Emma.
March the 1st already. So as of today until April the 30th, our local scholarship application is open on our online portal, which is moescholarships.gov.ky. And local scholarships are specifically, we've got 2 levels of scholarships going on specifically in this application period. We have our local scholarships, which would be speaking to persons who are looking at studying at UCCI, ICCI, UE, Open Campus, Truman Bodden, law school, and if they happen to, I think those are all the institutions right now. So any institution that's locally that they're looking at doing an associate's degree, bachelor's degree, or even a postgrad degree, right? Students who, for example, who were in the dual enrollment program, so they're coming out of the government high school, and they did their first year of associates at UCCI, they would now be looking at applying for a scholarship to continue their associates program. So we'll be reaching out to the various schools and institutions to have discussions about that. But it's also a time for post-secondary. So post-secondary are those who are completing year 11 and looking at going into A-levels or IB, International Baccalaureate Program. There's also CAPE, but I don't think any of the schools are currently doing CAPE, or if they're doing advanced placement courses. So you're looking at doing, basically the additional last 2 years of their high school years, right?
Okay.
If they're going into those programs, whether they are in private school or whether they're in government high school, they need to apply for the post-secondary scholarship, right? In addition to applying to, obviously, the institution to make sure that they can get into the program. So it's, quite very simple process in terms of going online and completing the application. And like I said, the deadline is the 30th of April, and it's for programs or persons starting university or post-secondary programs this coming September is when the funding would commence. I just thought of something and forgot it at the same time, so hopefully it'll come back to me.
I pray it does. If it's important, it will. But that just shows how much we have to balance all at one time, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
to those listening, to our parents who are going to be encouraging their children and to our students.
Yes.
Yeah, it's open today, the 1st of this month, March.
Yes.
Right? It's going to close on the 30th of April.
Yes.
There's Easter in between there. There are lots of other things going to
Yes.
transpire. So don't think you have.
Don't wait till the last minute.
April, you've got
Yes.
2 calendar months.
Yes.
And you better get it done.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think I remembered what it was.
Mhm.
So, of course, scholarships are awarded to persons, and I know you love this topic, persons who are Caymanian or who have the right to be Caymanian, right?
Yeah.
So that is something that can take some time to obtain the appropriate documentation if you don't have it, according to the Act, Immigration Act.
Mhm.
So, again, birth certificates, copy of your right to be Caymanian or your Cayman, whatever documentation, school transcripts. Why it is important, like you said, to start the process now, because you do have that Easter break that's coming up in the middle of this application period, which means, that's a week. Some, I think, private schools are closed for 2 weeks.
Mhm.
So that shortens the time that you can actually get those references and stuff. So don't wait. Please go online, as soon as possible today. If you're looking at thinking about applying for a scholarship, for a local scholarship, go online, create your account and then just start the process. And the way the application is now set up is that, you'll remember in the past you had to complete one section before you needed to move on to the next section. But now it is that you have, I think, for example, if you have 6 different sections you have to complete, you can start, complete section 6, which might be your photograph, and then go and do your just general demographic information, and then put it, save it, and then go back after you got some other documents. So it's not designed, and I've really, over the last year, with the feedback that we've gotten, we've really tried to tweak it and adjust it as best as make it as user friendly as possible. And if anyone has questions, I encourage them, please send us an email at scholarships@gov.ky or give us a call at 244-2492 or 244-2482. And, we can help walk you through the process, because we really want people to get their applications in and get them completed on time so that they can be reviewed. And it's probably mostly parents who are listening right now rather than students, because they should be in school. But parents, if you have a young person or yourself who are interested, but definitely speaking to parents who have children of the age who are making that transition from year 11 into 12, 13, or whatever program they're going, please ask your young person about this if it's something they're interested in. We do go to the various schools. Next week, my team will actually be presenting in the morning to students who are getting ready to leave SciFec. So Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday morning, my team will be there doing presentations. And then we'll be going to the BRAC, I think the middle of next month, early next month. And then we'll be visiting other schools and UCCI as well. So if you have a young person who's attending any of those current institutions right now, ask them about the process, because a lot of times the calls that we get are usually after the application period has closed, and then we get parents calling going, oh, did my child, they put in an application, and then we have to say, well, no, they didn't, or unfortunately they didn't finish. So, encourage them to start the process and, help them as best as you can. And again, if you have questions, please, contact us so that we can give you guidance as best as we can.
Now, with that in mind, as we talked to Dr. Shari Smith, the manager of the Scholarship Secretariat in the Ministry of Education, we referenced that the application online is not sequential, in that you don't have to do step 1, complete that, to do step 2 to move on and the like. But the student or the applicant is going through the process, you use the word save. If they're going to upload and complete one section or part of the section, do they need to save it, or will it automatically save? Because sometimes
the system is set up that once you complete a section, you have to mark it as complete, and then it indicates that it is completed. And then the system is updating stuff, but there is a save button, and I always encourage people to please click save.
Right.
Just to be, you never know with technology. And then once all of your sections have been given the full green check mark, then you want to make sure that you click the submit button so that it is submitted. And if it is submitted, then you should get an automatic email saying, thank you for submitting your application for the Ministry of Education Local Scholarship. If you don't get the email, double check to make sure that all the sections are completed. And then if you're still having problems, then again, you want to reach out and contact us so that we can, go into the system from the back end and see if there's something that's kind of holding things. Yeah.
And with that, as we going through it, now sometimes some things, just so that people don't take for granted that it automatically saves or they thought they did it.
Right.
It's always good. Just like working on a work document or an Excel or something,
right.
You save your work.
Yes.
Who knows, the power may be interrupted.
Yes.
But let's say the section you're working on requires you to complete 3 things, and you have 2 of the 3, but the third, can you do one of the 2 of the things and then come back and continue that section? You're not going to mark it complete, but
what will happen is that it'll be saved as partially complete, right? And then you can go back and upload stuff. Yeah.
Thank you. And this is why I'm asking. This should be obvious that the process may seem like it's lengthy and takes time, but it's not daunting. It's not impossible, and you can manage it in chunks and bites.
Right.
And you can do this section and come back and do this section or do bits and pieces, but you need to be consistent, and you need to get the information. You need to get started.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And it's an online portal only.
Online portal. Yes.
Okay.
So MOE scholarships. .gov.ky.
I can leave it to you to say that because I haven't read it here, but
and again, getting it started, working through it, and if you have any questions, you reach out to us. And a lot of all the items that are being asked in this part of the application, students should be able to get access to their transcripts, copies of their birth certificate. Definitely, your transcript is something that you should be able to provide, and we know that you haven't completed school, but you should be able to show, demonstrate with a transcript that shows the last 3 or 4 years of study.
Okay. Our guest is Dr. Shari Smith, and we're talking about local scholarships. And as you said, whether they're going to do, I still call it A-level 6th form, or whether you're doing something else post-secondary once you finish high school.
Yes.
Or you're going to do the law school, for instance. But there are some people, for whatever reason, may opt to do a program overseas, but they're going to be here. It's online. Is that how we call it these days?
Yes.
Distance learning, open university, correspondence as the days go. But they're going to be physically here in the Cayman Islands, but that program is delivered by a higher learning institution elsewhere. Is that local?
No.
Okay. You shared this many times, but
yes. The institution has to be physically in the Cayman Islands.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, the individual is going to be at ICCI or UCCI, just like the law school physically here. They're going to go do their associates. They want to do one of them fantastic master's programs.
Right.
That's a local scholarship?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, you said that, but if it's worth repeating, and the process is relatively easy.
Yeah.
The one part I want to ask about, but you really that funny now.
Yeah.
All right.
But it's pretty straightforward. And like I said, we will be, hopefully, I'll come back. We'll come back.
Yes,
and be able to discuss it further, or one of my team members, if I can convince them to come and talk, we could do that. And then we have some other local grants that we have also launched that I'll come back and talk about, that are for definitely for shorter, more vocational programs and stuff. But I really wanted to just let everyone know, because we've been getting calls and calls and calls that it is now open. It is on the portal, local scholarships and post-secondary. So,
So Caymanians only.
Yes.
So again, you're here on a work permit, not for you. You got permanent residency, not for you. Your child works for you work for government, but you're not a Caymanian, not for you. Not being disrespectful, but just for clarity.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And this is where I think the country's investment and its, what the people who work in that field talk about human capital development.
Right.
This is where it is. So whether you're doing, postgraduate study, or you're just leaving high school and you want to continue something else at one of the institutions here, this is for you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. Definitely. And again, it's an opportunity to, if you're been. It's not just for those coming out of high school. You may be a mature person and working in the workforce and never maybe had a chance to pursue your first qualification, or maybe you did your first, but then family happened and now you want to pursue, a master's program. This is also free for our mature adults as well. So, you have to be 18 to be on scholarship, but there's no cutoff age. And, you're never too old to learn. And, and I think in light of all that's happening in our community, in our country right now, education is really important and the key, and being able to provide various options that our persons can not only educate themselves, but skill themselves, right? Because if you teach a man to fish, right? However that saying goes. I know the first part of it. But yeah, if we teach our community and our people that live within, our country people, how to take care of themselves in a very productive way, then.
Indeed. I think how that saying goes, if you, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day.
Right.
You teach him to fish, you feed him for life.
Thank you, Dwayne.
But if you teach a woman to fish, you can open a restaurant, a culinary store. You can have, the fishmonger, the purveyor. I think that's what it means.
That's what it means. Okay. Well,
before you go, if I can ask, certainly looking forward to when you return. Some of us, for some other reasons, maybe just want to weather our feet back into the idea of studying.
Right.
Or we don't feel that we have the sufficient time to balance all the other commitments plus take on study.
Right.
Does it have to be a full time or can it be a part time? So, for instance, if UCC say, hey, listen, you need to take 4 classes, but the person says, no, I can manage 1 or 2,
right? And
instead of doing it over 4 years, it may take you 5 or 6,
right?
Does it matter if it's full time or part time?
We do consider full time and part time. I think if for UCCI specifically, that's in my mind. I think it's a minimum of 6 credits. That's which would basically be 2 classes, right? But yeah, working full time, having a family, and then trying to study on it. There's a lot of juggling that's going on. So we look at helping and working with our applicants as best as we can, and to help them be as successful as they can.
Thank you. And I asked that specifically because you've opened the door that it's about upskilling. It's about giving that person that added instruction, that confidence, that information, that knowledge to contribute to the community and to feel, invaluable.
Yes.
All right.
Very much.
Dr. Shari, always a pleasure, man.
Always a pleasure here.
I think those listeners would be proud of us.
Yes.
We managed to stick almost to...
We stuck on you, yes.
Yeah. No, but all seriousness, I commend our successive governments to continue, demonstrated investment in education and whatever complaints and cussing we might do.
Yeah.
It is for us now as a community to avail of the opportunities. So,
exactly.
Local scholarships, the portal is open.
Portal's open.
Closes on the 30th of April.
Yes.
All right. Looking forward to when you come back.
I'll be back. Thank you.
Can you do that in the accent?
No, I can't.
Oh, jeez. almost got through this.
Almost got there.
All right. When we come back, we want to invite you to be a part of the discussion. We're going to focus on health, and we've got something to share with you from our friends who are about this health. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Ladies and gentlemen, have you heard the news? Digicel is back with exciting offers that are too good to resist. Activate one of our brand new prepaid or postpaid plans today and experience telecommunications like never before. With more data, dedicated entertainment options like Netflix, YouTube, Spotify, and endless social text data for all your favorite platforms. Digicel is here to make sure you stay connected and entertained. Whether you are on a prepaid or postpaid, you will also enjoy dedicated roaming data for the USA, Canada, and the Caribbean. It's all about value, and Digicel has got you covered. Sports fans, tune in to Radio Cayman Sports Extra Show.
A young team full of talent, full of desire to do good things. We've had some success with the outdoor league.
Sports Extra.
This and every Tuesday night, right here on Radio Cayman, 89.9 and 93.9, Cayman Brack and Little Cayman.
All right, here we go.
Sports Extra is back this Tuesday.
Sports Extra from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands. Sports Extra.
Hi, this is Dion Anglin. Sports Extra returns this Tuesday, March 5th from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks very much for joining us. And it's always good to be able to have a show where we can talk about education, and one that is followed, with a discussion on health, or talk about health, and one followed, by a discussion on education. We had two of those, 2 consecutive days, so it's going to be a good weekend. Well, I'm honored once again to welcome a fantastic lady that is almost not just an icon in the community, but a fixture. Miss Anna.
Thank you, sir.
How are you, Mom? How are you?
I'm doing fantastically. Thank you so much.
And
I was happy to be here.
That is it. You bring such joy and love, not just your physical gifts, but your physical presence and the enthusiasm. And I said to share that as I look at life increasingly, our health and our wealth is in our relationships, that connection, the strength of our community. And when people miss you because you've been absent for a minute, shows love, and the longer you go, the more they yearn for you in a agape kind of way. And that's the spirit and energy that you bring. So it's always good to see you.
Thank you so much. And as I always say, this is my happy place.
Isn't
This
it?
is my happy place, and I love the Cayman people, and this is my home away from home, so it's always a delight to be here.
And thank you. I think we feel that and sense that. And I say it because more than ever, not just what is happening globally, but just locally, within our own Cayman Islands community, or whether we are anywhere in the U.S. or right within our local sphere, in our homes, things are happening, sometimes within our own minds, and we don't see the impact that it's have on our well-being, our physical health, and the like. So that coupled with the challenges that many may have relative to their unwillingness, that sheer reluctance, that fear of, should I go to the physician? This thing is there, but I don't know. Maybe if he doesn't tell me, I won't know. That doesn't help. So through you,
Right.
as we have a chance to have this discussion today, it's not about getting people to a space where they become fearful. It's getting to a space to understand that true help is at hand. We just need to seek out and receive it. So, with that in mind, cancer is a word that thankfully is being said now and not whispered. One that isn't and doesn't have to be that diagnosis of doom and death. But maybe I'm just very positive and optimistic. Maybe I had too much chocolate. I don't know. Miss Anna?
Well, let me tell you something. I was diagnosed with lung cancer, okay, very early stage, and thanks to a calcium scoring that was done just as a regular cardiological exam for women after 50. That's how they found it, and thanks to that, it came to a very early stage, and they were able to remove it, and I'm cancer-free. So I thank God for, prevention, testing for prevention, and like I said, that's one of the reasons why we wanted to implement the calcium scoring here in our office, because I thought that was extremely important. Unfortunately, it's not covered by insurance, but it's a test that is very inexpensive, and it saved my life. So, and I think, Dr. Weiss will be able to, we were talking about it, and I think you were also surprised that through a calcium scoring, it was detected. So it's very important to have that, prevention and health.
And thank you for that. As we bring Dr. Weiss into the discussion, you had shared this with me in passing many, many years ago. And, prior to 2020, things seemed like yesterday. Since 2020, a day seems like a year. But we can talk more about that to see how that is. But Dr. Weiss, as a total radiation oncologist over at the Baptist Health Miami Cancer Institute, welcome and thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Right. Would you, if it's okay to ask, in the Cayman context, when the elderly see the youth, they look at you and they pinch your cheeks and they go, "Who you from?" They want to know a little bit about you. I won't pinch your cheeks and I won't say who you're from, but I'll ask, if you wish, share with us a little bit about yourself, if you wish.
Sure. So I'm actually Canadian by birth and raised and trained there. So I completed all of my education back home in Canada. But part of what landed me in Miami was thinking, what are some of the gaps in the treatment, even in a country like Canada? For example, Canada has nothing like proton therapy in the whole country. We have other different ways that we can treat patients down in Miami and in the United States. And so thinking about where are the gaps and what we're doing and trying to make the best for people. But I think, from my background, always interested in also prevention and how can we make people's lives the best, whether they have cancer or not, or whether they're just part of a patient or family's journey through that process, because everyone is affected, even if it's not you that's living with it.
Yeah.
It's your friend, it's your neighbor, it's your mother, it's your father, it's your cousin.
And that is the thing that I think we increasingly are becoming more mindful. That person who's diagnosed, even if it's your neighbor, you can see, sort of the lights at home be that much more dim. If it's your colleague, your client, that impact translates not only just into their absenteeism or scheduled treatment or impacted vacations, productivity. It impacts us all. But let's ask, you talk about,
Sure.
Go ahead. Radiotherapy, for instance. What does that mean? And maybe it's an easy, simple answer there, but it knows except me. But you know what? Pretend I don't know.
Yeah. So radiotherapy is one of the 3 pillars of cancer therapy. So when we think about cancer, people often think about surgery. There's a lump, let's cut it out.
Yeah.
They sometimes think about chemo. I'm going to lose my hair, I'm going to have nausea, vomiting. But the 3rd main pillar of cancer treatment is radiotherapy. Radiation is used in about half of cancer patients at some point in their journey, whether it's to help cure the cancer, whether it's as a sort of insurance policy after surgery or chemotherapy to prevent it from coming back. We also sometimes use radiation as what we call a palliative therapy. So if there's an area causing pain or symptoms, we can direct some radiation there to help make life better.
Yeah. And I ask that because just, again, not empirical, certainly not scientific. I asked a few people that I know, friends and family who've had a diagnosis, who've had, both the radiation and the chemo almost at the same time, or one followed by the other. And there was this reluctance, this sort of perception, and almost no, I don't want radiation. Radiation.
So I think really everyone's different, and every treatment that we deliver is different. I think one of the more common types of radiation that we use is for things like breast cancer. When we treat breast cancer, the breast has a lot of skin that gets part of the radiation. So you'll see people say, oh, I had a really bad skin burn, a sunburn. Took a long time. I had to use a lot of cream. The skin afterwards looked a bit abnormal. And so, when we do radiation, for example, to the prostate or to the pelvis or for endometrial or cervix or other areas, the symptoms are different. And so in some cases, there's almost no symptoms at all from the radiation. In others, it can be really, really challenging, and you need a lot of supportive care and help for managing those side effects. It really all depends.
I have this image, and help me to make sure that my perception is correct. With radiation, it's almost a targeted beam that can be directed as much as possible to that particular spot. As opposed to, chemo that is like, this big bucket of thing that's tossed in pellets going everywhere.
That's exactly right. So again, depending on what our goal is with the treatment, the radiation can be to a really, really tiny area, for example, a single lymph node, or it can be to a large area. So for example, when we treat the entire breast, because the whole breast is at risk of recurrence after you've had a lumpectomy. So a part, when they just remove a tumor from the breast, we often will do radiation to the whole breast to help sterilize that whole area. So there you don't need to be quite as pinpoint because you're targeting a bigger area. But when you have a very small cancer, very small tumor, and you want to be ultra precise, we need to use the right technology to match to the right area that we're treating.
Okay. And with that, Ms. Anna, if you want to...
Well, actually, what is very interesting about this is that before you used to treat breast cancer, of course, with the traditional radiation, especially left-sided breast cancer, and it used to damage the muscles of the heart, and sometimes, But now with the proton therapy that we have at Baptist, we're able to treat left-sided breast cancer with protons so that it just concentrates on the area, on the localized area where the tumor is, and then you no longer have to be concerned about the actual damage to the heart. This is for the left-sided. And all the new types of radiation also available. Now, the one thing is we have a Baptist at the Miami Cancer Institute is everything is under one roof. So you don't have to go to different buildings or, everything is concentrated under one roof, which is a wonderful.
The convenience for the patient.
Correct.
Just sometimes moving.
Right.
I'm glad you referenced that because, again, I'm thinking may not be the best analogy, but if you got a flashlight and you put it against the space, it tends to, if there's the slightest little opening and you want to know if there's, on the other side, there's some light coming through. So with what Ms. Anna was sharing, left side, I don't know much about anatomy. I tell my friends all the time, geography and biology, I didn't pay much attention in those days. But beyond there's the other muscles and there's the heart. They're concerned that, wait a minute, can that go through like the flashlight beam? You're saying, well, we can concentrate it. The heart muscle can be as protected as possible.
Yeah, so we can usually do a good job at sparing the heart with protons. Usually when we're treating the breast, we can use angled beams that come in diagonally. So if you imagine a breast forward and then the beams coming on each side, so you get very little amount of the heart in the radiation beam. I think really it depends on the person, though. Some people's heart lie very close to their chest. Some it lies a little bit further. But we know that even a tiny more amount of radiation to your important arteries in the heart can increase significantly your chance of having heart disease in the future. So really every small benefit that you can get, even if it doesn't seem like a really, really big amount, every little bit helps. Of course, diet, exercise, living a healthy life are all equally important, but everything that we can do to help people live longer and better is our goal.
And as you shared, surgery, chemo, radiation, those are sort of a three-pronged approach.
Yeah.
Can you do one without the other two, two without the three? Do you have to do all three?
Yeah, we often will do all three in some case scenarios. So, for example, in aggressive breast cancer, for example, triple negative breast cancer, it's often several months of chemotherapy, then surgery, then several weeks of radiation therapy. Really, there's different side effects associated with each treatment, but there's also a synergy that they all work well together. The bulk of everything can be removed in surgery, but all of the rest that's still left behind, even if it's 1 or 2 cells, in order to cure cancer, we need 100%. We need 0 cells that are cancer left behind. So that's why we're using all these different modalities to work together to improve the chances as much as possible.
Okay. So when you come back from a quick break, Dr. Weiss, I want to ask you, other things. Are there any particular sort of breaking news updates in the technology, practices and procedures, and share with us? All right, I'm going to pause. When we come back, Ms. Sandra, we'll continue our discussion. Please stay tuned.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin are the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Ladies and gentlemen, have you heard the news? Digicel is back with exciting offers that are too good to resist. Activate one of our brand new prepaid or postpaid plans today and experience telecommunications like never before. With more data, dedicated entertainment options like Netflix, YouTube, Spotify, and endless social text data for all your favorite platforms. Digicel is here to make sure you stay connected and entertained. Whether you are on a prepaid or postpaid, you will also enjoy dedicated roaming data for the USA, Canada, and the Caribbean. It's all about value, and Digicel has got you covered. Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks very much for joining us. And if you've never had the opportunity to meet Miss Anna, it's probably because you just gotten off the flight. Because I think everybody knows who she is. You're such a wonderful spirit, and good to see you always. Well,
thank you so much, Jordan. Thank you so much.
And thank you too for sharing as you do publicly about things that transpire in life. As a parent, as a grandparent, as a professional, because we learn by others people's life's experiences and the like, and through you we get a chance to see what's happening at Baptist Health and to meet Dr. Weiss. But a conversation like cancer, and as we went into the break, we're talking about breast cancer. For many of us, it's striking because we've either gone through it personally or someone very near and dear to us is or has. So we'd asked about some updates on what's maybe happening in that space. And you said, Canada's a big place, but there you are in Miami, and there seems to be some things that are available in one place that isn't in another.
Yeah. So one of the reasons why I was recruited to Miami Cancer Institute and Baptist Health was I have some specific fellowship training in a special kind of radiation called brachytherapy. And so part of the magic of brachytherapy is that there's no machine that's going to do this for you. This isn't a fancy proton or photon or any kind of machine. What it is actually a kind of radiation where you're under anesthesia as if it's like a surgery. And what we do is we place radioactive beads or markers directly into the tumor. So rather than the radiation coming from the outside in, like with a traditional radiation machine, the radiation actually travels into the body through these channels that we put in surgically and emits the radiation directly into the tumor. So this is a great technique for things like prostate cancer, which is a very common cancer in older men, as well as some of the gynecologic cancers of women's cancer, like cervix cancer. So when we use this approach by putting the radiation directly into the tumor, we can give much higher doses than with standard treatment at that time, whether it's photon or proton. And we often use it in conjunction. So in prostate cancer, sometimes we're doing 39, 40 treatments. If we do one big dose with the internal radiation, we can cut that down. Instead of 8 weeks, we can cut it down to 5 weeks, for example. With the cervix cancer, we do 5 weeks of external treatment, then a bunch of internal treatments, and we get really great results, control rates greater than 90%. So that's a great technique that really requires some specific expertise and training.
Okay. So I want to repeat it back just to make sure I follow. With brachytherapy, unlike, again, as I picture it, you're going from the outside with this, this beam of light to the targeted area. Through surgery, you put in, these little, as you call it, little balls inside the affected tumor.
Right.
And then that's going to radiate out
Correct.
to that area.
Yeah. So that's one way that we're able to do and treat people like we've never really been able to do before. It's also really useful if, God forbid, cancer comes back in a certain area. You've already had radiation. Well, now we need to give high dose, but also spare even more so all those other tissues. Maybe it's your bladder, maybe it's your rectum, maybe it's some of the bowels that you don't want to risk a major toxic effect or devastating long-term issue from radiation. And so this is a type of technique that with specific expertise we can treat tumors that we're not able to. Another way of doing this, of say, for example, for retreatments or areas where we're extra concerned about motion, basically, is a special machine called the MRI linear accelerator, the MR-Linac. That's a unique machine that there's only a few in the world, and the advantage is that, as you're breathing, imagine all the things in your body, they're moving as you're breathing, your liver, your diaphragm, your lungs. and the tumor moves too. And so this is the first machine that the entire time that you're moving and breathing and just being alive, that machine is tracking both the tumor and also the normal organs and making sure that we're giving high dose and saving the healthy tissues surrounding it.
I'm glad you referenced that, because up until recently, many of us probably didn't appreciate. You went to the physician, an X-ray is ordered, and they say, okay, take a deep breath and hold it. And if you didn't, or however you did it, the image can be perhaps almost unusable or not as beneficial, because as you breathe, you didn't hold your breath, it affects what's happening.
That's exactly right. And part of when we're planning radiation treatments is we do X-rays just like that, where we say, in this person, actually, how much is it? How much blurriness is there going to be? Because in some people, they can hold their breath well. Maybe they don't need a very fancy technology, and the standard one can be fine.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to evaluate, because if you don't know and you treat a bigger area, or God forbid you miss, and the tumor moves out of the treatment beam, and then you cause side effects without even curing the cancer.
Huh. Is right. You identified the tumor, let's say in the prostate, you want to target it there, but I don't know about people, but even when your parents say, okay, hold still now for the picture, you don't, or keep still while I, do this for you. You don't. You think you are.
Or if you start to pass gas in the middle of the treatment, it can move things.
This happens, right?
And that happens.
Yeah.
We see it. We have to stop until it passes.
Yeah, and you can't control that sometimes.
No.
And, as I'm not trying to in any way be jovial, but these are the realities. So if we have a technique and technology that can allow, as you move, it's kind of where like a boat over a plane, on the boat, as you rise the waves and you just got your sea legs and you're up and down. It's just rhythmic. On a plane, when you sit in your seat and she hits, the little potholes in the sky, you're not riding the waves. So with this, you're telling me this thing moves with you, and as you move with it, we're all good.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how still you think you can be. Everything inside you has a mind of its own. And even a few millimeters can make the difference between a bad effect and a good one.
Okay, so with this approach and technique, we always want, anything that gives us an increased probability of success.
Of course.
I think you referenced what it was, but repeat it again. Are we getting a better outcome?
So we are getting better outcomes than ever before. One of my colleagues, Dr. Michael Chung, he's one of the world pioneers in some of this MRI-based technology, and he's been able to cure pancreatic cancers without operations that were not thought to be curable before, or getting long-term control where everyone has been amazed. And so this has been published in a lot of important research articles. And hopefully this technology continues to grow and expand so that we can really increase the cure rates and control rates for cancers that were before almost thought as death sentences.
Yeah. And when we understand, we were chatting earlier about breast cancer, but just a cursory read to the non-medically, trained mind, pancreatic cancer is one of those things that when you see it, it might be a little bit sort of advanced.
Yeah.
With this, you can actually...
Well, every case is different, and that's one of the troubles with pancreatic cancer. It's one where there's no good screening test. So unlike breast cancer or cervical cancer, we can't necessarily detect them early. So when they are detected, they're usually at a fairly advanced stage. And chemotherapy can be effective, but not everyone gets a good effect with that. And so controlling the cancer where it starts in an important area of the body near all of your important digestive organs can be important for quality of life, even if you're not able to necessarily cure the cancer, but to control it for as long as possible is a very important goal as well.
And I can imagine, just thinking and trying to work my way through, must be one of the biology classes I was awake. There's the anatomy. You have it, the pancreas is right there, all the surrounding organs and the like. It's probably not even that easy to get to in a sense. And if you're moving, that's probably going to even be much more movement without realizing it.
Well, that's correct. So the main part of the intestine that does your digestion, that all of those proteins and hormones to help digestion, that sits right in front of the pancreas. You have the stomach that's also sitting very close by with the digestion. But what generally makes these inoperable is actually when they're involving the blood vessels that support the rest of the body. And so we need blood for survive, to give blood to all of our organs. And so when that tumor wraps around that, that's what makes it the most challenging. But radiation therapy can still be effective even in those cases where you have this involvement of these important blood vessels.
Okay. So, Miss Anna, for us, it's wonderful that a small community like this can have, cutting-edge technology and accessible, and a short Cayman Airways flight away is you and your wonderful folks. So, as we close the discussion out, what do you want to share with us? How do we get in touch? What do we need to know?
Well, I just want to say, I've been in Baptist since 1995, and I have seen everything that is constantly going on and the changes. But the Miami Cancer Institute and the Miami Cardiac and Vascular Institute both are so advanced in all the methodology that they are doing, the new treatments. I would summarize it as hope. Hope for those that were not before had any hope or ever getting cured, but now you can actually look on a positive aspect that there is a choice that you can get, and you don't have to settle for just the traditional old way of radiation or heart issues, that you can actually now hope for something better that will actually extend your life, save your life, put you in remission, or even cure it. So that's extremely important for everyone to know, not only here in the Cayman Islands, but everywhere that actually we are involved in.
And that's the thing, hope. We want to have a sense of hope. So
I couldn't have said it better myself.
That's why we asked her. She's just amazing. Huh? I tell you,
absolutely,
she is amazing, and
Thank
in a
you.
sense, So for people who want to contact or get more information, Miss Anna.
Yes, as you all know, we do have an office here in Smith Center. And actually, like I said, we have added now the calcium scoring to the imaging that we're doing at the office, the local office here in Smith Center. And you can get in touch with them at 345-749-3304, or you can just stop by Smith Center, and we have 4 members of the staff. We have a nurse, we have the operations manager, we have the technologist, and we also have our health coordinators. So Nicola and Alina, the technologist, and Rachel, the health coordinators, and of course Tammy Vanderbilt, who is the registered nurse. And they all can help you, and it's a very pleasant. It's just like you're walking into Baptist itself in the United States.
All right. Thanks, Dr. Weiss. Thank you. Any closing thoughts you may want to share?
Thank you. So I agree with Anna, and we're here to help however we can. I think whatever you do is important. You have faith and confidence in your team. If you're having doubts, if you think you need more information, seek out that information. You don't want to live with regrets. Treatment regret can be an important part of people's journey if they didn't get through and get all the information they need. So we're here to help and want people to just be comfortable and confident in the care that they're receiving, regardless of where that is.
Thank you. Looking forward to seeing you again.
It's
Miss
a
Anna.
pleasure always being with you, Sterling.
Thank you, Mom.
And here.
All right, we're going to pause and take the news, but as Miss Anna reminded us, Baptist Health is just right down by Smith Road. So, got a question? They have an answer. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Covering Little Cayman, Cayman Bragg.
Cover me.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. All Cayman Islands post offices will be closed on Tuesday, March 5th to facilitate staff training and a meeting. Normal operations at all offices will resume on Wednesday, March 6th. In international news, Cuba's government has for the first time asked the UN's food program for help as food shortages on the communist-run island worsen. The World Food Program said it had received an unprecedented official request from the Cuban government for help providing powdered milk to children under 7 years of age. The request is a sign of the seriousness of Cuba's economic crisis. As well as a shortage of milk, fuel and medicines are also running low. A new species of sea slug has been discovered in UK waters. It was caught off the southwest of England from a research ship. The creature has been named Pleurobrankea britannica. It belongs to a group found in warmer waters, which could be migrating north due to climate change. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Zollins.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
Find your dream car with a Cayman National Vehicle Loan. Enjoy 100% financing, up to 8-year repayment, and a 7% fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. For eco-friendly cars, we'll waive your commitment fee. This only applies to new vehicles. Call 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Dwayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drportercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
This is Winston Connolly, and I work in the financial services sector. I'm concerned about the way climate change is affecting our energy sector. Storms can delay fuel imports and damage infrastructure, and heat waves can destabilize the grid. These issues can prevent Caymanians from using their cars, lights, and air conditioning. To learn more about the climate risks to our islands, visit www.gov.ky/climate change policy.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome. And thanks very much for joining us. And with everything, it's all a matter sometimes of not just perspective, but a pensive positioning of how we see our purpose. And our friends over at Rotary Central as embodied in the company of, make sure I say it, Mr. Emilio Badu. It is about giving. It's about sharing. And as cliche as some may hear, it's about genuinely caring. We are to be our brother's keeper. And I liken our word that is not the brother in the masculine gender, it's the brother in our society, all and sunder. So that's my thinking. That's my, willingness. So good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Shall I have you, just grab that mic and bring that a little bit closer to you again? Alrighty. So tell us, what we're going to be talking about.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me here today. I'm representing Rotary Central. Just continuing, I was listening to your conversation earlier with the previous guest, and to quote yourself, you said, we all want a sense of hope. Mm-hmm. And that's a very powerful word, hope. Yeah. In fact, Rotary International has grabbed onto the theme, creating hope in the world. And that is our theme for this year, and that is what we're doing tomorrow with a island-wide health screen for the Cayman Islands.
And again, publicly, as I've shared, we schedule on Monday as you were to be on, so thanks for being so gracious. But sometimes, I don't believe in coincidences, right? So sometimes something happens. We know it's tomorrow. We leave today at the forefront of people's minds. Whatever you're doing, this is an island-wide on Grand Cayman, free health screening.
And completely free.
Yeah, all the years that we've assisted in helping you, bring attention to this, we've been honored to do so, and we've, come to find out that many people have benefited, and but for the health screening, they may not have taken the second sometimes to stop and just do some of the things simple that has made a meaningful impact to their lives. So tell us about the health screening, where it's going to be, what's on offer, and how do we go about it?
All right. This is our 12th occurrence of the island-wide health screen. We'll be offering a lot of services at 5 locations, trying to spread the love all around the island. We'll be in West Bay at Cost-U-Less, Georgetown at A.L. Thompson's and at Foster's Airport. We will be in Bordentown at Savannah United Church, and we're not leaving out the East. We'll be at the East End Civic Center tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We'll be offering several services, all free, where patients can get free blood sugar tests, blood pressure tests, HbA1c, that's a test to tell you if you have diabetes or not. Cholesterol, we'll be testing your iron or hemoglobin. We'll be doing weight assessments. Plus, on top of that, every person gets a free consultation with a doctor and also gets to see the pharmacist and physiotherapist who are applicable.
Yeah, I'm not a physician, and of all of the things I had thought about being in life, I considered that for maybe a few months. And I realized I'd rather be in policy and education and healthcare than a physician. That aside,
okay.
I'm a little bit familiar with some of the things that you reference. Yeah. So as a prospective patient, these are things that would cost us a few dollars if we had to see our physicians. B, we have to make an appointment in many instances. C, that takes time, that whole logistics. So I'm gathering while we're out and about shopping, we'll reference the 5 locations. We can just do it then and there.
You can do it then and there. It only takes a few minutes. All of the tests are pretty much a finger prick test. You don't have to be drawing blood or anything like that. Yeah. Almost painless and very quick.
And I also know from, we've been gladly partnering with Rotary Central in this promotion. Narcelta in the early days coordinated everything.
Yeah.
Your Rotarians are not just physicians and radiologists and members of the healthcare fraternity, but they're also avid community champions. Yes. So they're out there. These tests, I gather the HB1AC or how's it go?
HbA1c, otherwise called the glycosylated hemoglobin. It's a big word.
That's it. And the idea behind that, from what I'm told, you remind me, unlike the need to fast to do that blood test,
you don't have to fast for any of the tests we're offering. We want you to come and be as comfortable as possible.
Okay, so it's HB1A1C. Sometimes you say it in reverse, people remember it. Okay, I know what it is. But the reason why I want to stress that one is that for many of us, we think, you know what, we'll do the blood test today because we haven't had anything major in the last day or 2 or 3. This will catch what we've been doing in terms of our blood sugar.
3 months. Yeah, you know your information.
And I didn't have to look at my notes.
Okay.
And the why I say that is that some of us like to fool ourselves, only to
Right.
realize the only people we're fooling are ourselves.
Yeah.
So we come, take a couple of minutes, get this test if that's the only one we want, and we'll know where we are and we can do something about it.
Yeah.
Knowledge is empowering.
It is, and it's not just the HbA1c. Your blood pressure can tell you a lot about what's happening in your current state, your blood sugar, and even your cholesterol. You can be as skinny, and still have very high levels of cholesterol, and that can lead to heart conditions later on in life.
Right. And thanks for sharing that, because sometimes we think, we are healthy because we don't eat that, or we don't eat that
Or we
often,
don't look
or we don't
unhealthy.
look,
You're right.
but we don't know.
Exactly.
And I don't say this to be facetious, but lipstick on a pig, doesn't make it a model, right? Not even a model pig. But also, when we look at our health and well-being, the more that we understand, engage, and have these public information exchange, blood pressure. I used to think, that's a hard issue. I'm learning, no, that's a...
No, your blood sugar and your blood pressure, it affects so many other systems within your body. So it's very important that you check it not only tomorrow, but even at home.
Right.
We can show you how to do that when you come to the health screen. We can show you what you need to do to keep on top of your health.
And to you and your fellow Rotarians or Central, the consultation, Ms. Badu, that you referenced, this is what can help us. We take a few minutes out of a shopping day. We take one of the advantage of one of these tests, but we talk to the physicians, the trained medical personnel that are there.
Right
because the blood pressure, if it's starting to be an issue and you think it's going to affect your heart, that's just a consequence of where it's emanating.
And you get the opportunity to speak to the physician or the pharmacist about your medication and the results from the test to see what's the next step. To get advice on how to keep it good if it's good.
Right.
It could be that you are in tip-top shape.
Exactly. And if it's not, well, you can find ways to bring it in check.
That's true.
So it's free.
All free.
Open to every single person. Doesn't matter.
The teeny tiniest one up to the eldest. It's all free and available to the community.
Okay. I know it's tomorrow, and I'm going to ask about, again, the 5 locations, but what time?
We'll be doing it from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. At the various locations. And
I won't try to do the math, just like when people are in traffic, for whatever reason, an hour to work, in the morning and an hour in the home. To some people, that's 1 or 2 hours a day. But over the week, if they do it for 5 days, that's 10. Over the year, we can do the math over 10 years, and then that translates into how many days. I say that to emphasize that those 4 hours over 5 locations, with the countless volunteers that you have, over these 11 years, is a significant economic and social benefit to the country. It
is. It's actually the community coming together to serve the community.
Yes.
And it is so wonderful to observe. The volunteers are taking their personal time and expertise to give back to the community. So I want the community to come out and take advantage of it. It is saving you time, it is saving you money, and it is probably saving you your health.
Right. And it's a recognition that some of us may have, to our minds, an excellent healthcare plan. Whatever the sum is, we can afford to pay it, or we pay it willingly. There may be some who don't have it. There may be some that has, but they're not quite sure to what extent they want to access it for whatever the reasons are. But even the person with an excellent healthcare plan may not make the time to go to the physician
I think
because
it's important.
There you go.
This is for everybody.
Right.
You just come and say, let me see what's going on. Let me just see what's going on with my body. That's all it takes.
With his consent, but for sharing his name, he asked if I would relay this. This is a name that is almost recognizable to every single person. For clarity, it's not a politician or anything.
Okay.
This is just someone who is perhaps well known in the community for him just being him, and would be perceived as being healthy, would be perceived as having some degree of financial stability, and he shared that being involved in all of the community activities and the like, you're rushing. And one day, at one of the Rotary, screenings a few years prior, he just stopped because he saw someone he knew, and the person persuaded him, just take a breather and do your blood pressure. Just check it. And he did. And it was a little bit elevated. Don't remember the numbers. Don't know if he shared it since. Oh no, that's just because, I've been rushing about all the time. The guy said that's probably true. It may be. But we're friends. So I'm going to, insist that you check it again, later on today and then again tomorrow and see what it's like. But conscious to do it. And I'm going to hold you accountable. And that's why I shared at the outset, we are a brother's keeper. These are two friends. One's a Rotarian and one's a non-Rotarian. And they reminded me just earlier, and specifically because of this conversation, to share that. He did, as his friend insisted, only to discover that, wait a minute, this is high, these 3 subsequent times. And one was, early in the morning as he got up before anything transpired. The other was later in the evening when it should have been, perhaps not as high as it would have been on that Saturday. Anyway, did that for a couple of days, saw his physician, and thankfully it wasn't anything, life-threatening at that time. But had he not taken the breath, did it, could have been worse.
Yes,
and he said, wow. And to me, that's part of the reason why we're honored to partner with you, for you to be able to provide this free service to all of us. And this is not someone who doesn't have the financial resources, at least the perception thereof, who does not have a health insurance plan, who does not look healthy. But look what could have happened.
Exactly. And, sometimes it's the men who are apprehensive to come.
Did I imply that?
Find out. I don't know if they're afraid of the doctor or if the little needle joke. I don't know if that's it. But please come out. And you'll be served by lovely, welcoming volunteers.
So what was shared in this conversation by these two friends? A man would run into a burning building because he's a fireman. He will venture into the unknown darkness, right? For whatever the reason, on a dare, because he's just brave and perceived to be. But he will not go to the doctor for a simple checkup. I'm
not sure why.
Yeah. and so I appreciate him, asking me to share that, because I think we don't see the importance, as much as we would tell our sisters and our spouses and our children, and the mothers do the same to some extent. But here's a free, health screening. So you set the 5 locations from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Right. Cost you less. A.L. Thompson's, Foster's Airport, and that will be right at the entrance on the lawn. We're not inside the supermarket. And Savannah United Church Hall and East End Civic Center.
And just sort of looking in my mind at the 5 locations, you capture all of the districts, but I'm seeing the corporate partnership with the respective businesses allowing, their premises to be utilized. I'm also seeing the church that, using its building, but also the civic approach of the government buildings in partnership.
Yes,
this
as
is the
I
community.
said, it's the community coming together to serve the community.
Mhm.
And just like yourselves, Radio Cayman, who have supported us over the years, we want to say thank you to you and thank you to all our sponsors and supporters and volunteers. Especially thank you to Foster's group. They have supported us as well every single year and cost you less. The church is getting involved, and yes, we are spreading and expanding and growing and helping to improve the community as much as we can.
Okay, and I appreciate it. And this is where that sort of civic mindedness, the corporate citizen, the wider community, understanding that the safety, the security, the stability stems with us.
Yeah. And if I may add as well, the hospitals, they are all jumping in as well, because we have volunteers from the Health Services Authority, we have volunteers from Doctors Hospital, St. Matthew's University, as well as Health City. Everybody's coming together to get this project done.
And this is, I think, shows the strength of the community, where its collective resources are being harnessed to benefit all who are here. And I would imagine, as I see it, my perception is just simply, you're in here in this space at this time. You're only seen as another community member. It has nothing to do with who you are, what you're doing at that particular time. As you're going in or coming out of these respective places, or in the cases of the Civic Center or the Church Hall, go there specifically. Take the opportunity that is being available free.
Yes. And these are all comfortable environments for you.
All right. If I might, I reflect on what I shared about my friend who, was almost, he would say, forced by his friend. His friend would say, no, I heavily encourage you because I'm, was called to be your brother's keeper. He understands the importance of it. But I know that your reports after that you discovered through these screenings, these people were borderline this person had that.
Yes, we've actually had to send people directly to the emergency room because of the results were way out, and they needed emergency attention. So it has happened through the screens where we've had to call on the ambulances to take these patients directly to HSA to get emergency treatment. That we call it sometimes a walking dead. You don't know that you're this close to just falling.
I think not a person to be paralyzed by fear. It's not that I don't become concerned or fearful about things, but many of us don't appreciate that in the particular space that we find us with all this happening, for want of a better word, sadly we use it so loosely, the stress and stressors that we're now experiencing in our lives, what impact is that having on us? I say that us and include myself. We don't know. I don't know who's capable of looking within their bodies to see what's going on.
Right.
So
because it doesn't necessarily show on the outside, and the stress can be a major inducer of ill health, but you just won't know. But these tests tomorrow can tell you exactly or give you a better picture of what's going on.
Yeah. Ms. Badu, what I'm also thinking as I listen to you, we as the parent or, that role model by participating in this free test, we're setting a good example as the parent for our child, for a spouse, for the other, for the sibling, for the wider community. Know your numbers. You taking in value on your health, because at the end of the day, you really can't buy it. I mean, you can probably pay for a procedure, but can you replace the original? I don't know.
Not always.
Not always. All right, so it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Okay.
10 to 2. Cost you less. A.L. Thompson's, Foster's Airport, Savannah United Church, and East End. A free health screen for everyone in the family, courtesy of Rotary Central.
All right, you shared it earlier, but if I could ask you just to remind us, there's no fasting.
No fasting.
What do people need to do?
You can have your breakfast, you can have your lunch, and come straight to the health screen.
Right. And I've been there. I've had the distinct privilege to be able to interview some of your team members and to actually participate on my shopping to witness. These are all healthcare professionals, as you referenced, the various hospitals on board. So we who may not be quite sure, you can be reassured that these are the professionals.
You'll be catered to by registered health professionals in the Cayman Islands. We have nurses, the doctors, of course. We have students, medical students, interns. We have physiotherapists, pharmacists, a whole conglomerate. It's a big team here to serve you.
And because it's a small community, you would immediately recognize, oh, that's my physician, or the person, and you don't have to worry about the bona fides. So they are there just in case someone isn't quite sure. That's one of the many benefits of such a small community. We'll recognize the people who are there from whether they're working at HSA, for instance.
Right. It's the same people you've known all along that are there for you. And if your concern is confidentiality, again, it is a small island, so some people are concerned about that. Everything is kept confidential and only within the hands of the healthcare professionals.
Right. And even though it's at these very convenient locations that I guess on Saturdays we all, despite how many times we protest, I don't want to be out today shopping, we find ourselves.
Yes, you do.
This may be one of the good reasons, and the opportune times. Go, and if you go in specifically to do your health screening, make that venture. The life you save may be your own, right?
Exactly.
It's going to be worth it.
Or your friend. If you
I was going to say, or even more so, someone you actually care about, because some of us care about others more than we care about ourselves.
Yeah, it's true.
So make it it's early enough. You go. If you want to have your breakfast and then do your screening because you don't need a pass, or you go do your screening and then go have a leisure, breakfast or whichever, hey, go right ahead. If you just come off the beach after a walk, it doesn't matter, right?
Right.
It doesn't.
Even if you just want to take a drive out, stop at East End on your way.
Yeah, yeah.
Get your screening done.
So whether it's in East End or whether it's in the Savannah United Church Hall?
That's right.
Okay. You said Foster's Airport, Earl Thompson's, or Courcheles.
Yes.
Any of those 5 locations?
Any of them.
All right. Well, thank you for coming and sharing. Any closing thoughts you may want to leave with our listeners, Ms. Badu?
I just want to say thank you again to you, Radio Cayman, and to all our volunteers. I am looking forward to seeing everybody out tomorrow, and we will have a good time creating hope in the world.
You know, hope, something that we shouldn't lose sight of, something we shouldn't lose in itself, but hope sometimes is us being a beacon to others to remind them. Sometimes hope is that thing which we grasp, but hope is there, and it's good to have a hopeful expectation. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Roto Central provides another free health screening tomorrow, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Earl Thompson's, Foster's Airport, the Courcheles location, the East End Civic Center, and the Savannah United Church. It's free. You don't need a pass. You come, and there, those licensed, recognizable, registered healthcare professionals who will be assisting. Thanks everyone for coming on board. I won't say anything other than please join Mr. Art on Monday morning for the record. We have Talk Today with Dr. Borden for part of our monthly Mental Health Matters show on Monday. And between now and then, there are 2 things that I'll ask you. Be purposeful and be prayerful. Until then, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And now, Barbados. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.